exceptionally good today. Who made this? Very delicious. Hold on.
Hey, my cosmic cousins. It's your girl Nova Charm, and welcome to another episode of Astrology Tea with Nova Charm. Now, in today's episode, I wanted to dive back into the Love Island. Will they survive outside of the villa? Now, child, honestly, I'm going to have to do this episode a little bit different because the winners, Amaya and Bryan, we're not even really sure if they still together. But nevertheless, I'm still going to take a look at their chart and look into their couple potential. But before we get too deep into it, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe to your girl. And hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of this cosmic tea that I want to sip with you. Now let's get into it. Now, first off, I have to say, with Amaya, she had a rocky road. It was hard for the sensitive gangster. All the men in the villa was just telling her that she was too much. Her emotional outbursts every time somebody was getting sent home. It was just a roller coaster ride for poor Amaya. But through it all, we grew to love her and her quirky, crazy ways. Because, child, she was around there making up songs. She was doing zoomies every time she got excited. All in all, though, she was lit. She was lit. Now, when she first came into the villa, she initially was paired up with Ace, and that went amazingly horrible. Amaya's energy was just way too much for Ace. And in the words of Amaya, if I am not your cup of tea, you do not have to take a drink. Or something like that, she said. Anywho, her next connection was with Austin. And well, nobody really knows if Austin was really there to find love or if he just was there to be the pool boy. And regardless, that didn't work out either. Next, she tries her hand with Zach. And I legit hated that for her. Especially after they had the stand on business challenge and he sat up there and did what he did. And while Amaya was at her lowest point in that villa, in walks a knight in shining armor in Bryan, who stands up for Amaya. The only person, mind you, out of everybody there who stood up for her, to confirm for Amaya that she is not too much, that she is perfectly her. Hey, now, you know that's my favorite saying. Now, I wouldn't describe their love story as actual love. If we're all just being real, Amaya and Bryan won because the world fell in love with Amaya. I was literally hearing people say if Amaya just teamed up with her water bottle, they would vote for it. It legit didn't matter. But during the last minute scramble, they managed to find refuge in one another. And I actually think they make a cute couple. Like I said, I wouldn't call it love. Amaya just found somebody who was willing to pair up with her and accept her for who she really is. Now, will they stay a couple on the outside? Uh, I don't know. Are they a couple at this moment? Mm, we don't know. But nevertheless, we're going to take a look at their chart and check out the potential. Now, when it comes to our girl Maya, she is a Scorpio Sun. Now, I didn't have her time of birth, so I had to kind of guesstimate. And based on my guesstimations, it's more than likely that she's a Sag Moon. Her Mercury also falls in Sag. She has a Venus in Libra, and her Mars is in Capricorn. Now, when we go over to Bryan's chart, Bryan is a Capricorn Sun. Once again, no time of birth, so we're going to just go off a guesstimation, which was also guesstimated at a Sag Moon, okay? Yes, we're giving them matching moons. Now, Bryan's Mercury is in Capricorn, his Venus is in Sagittarius, and his Mars is in Libra. Now, comparing these placements, this is actually some very workable energy here. But notice how I said workable. This is the type of connection you have to really want it and you have to work at it. And let me break it down what I mean. Now, when I look at their Mercury and how they communicate, Amaya's Mercury is in Sagittarius and Bryan's Mercury is in Capricorn. It instantly made me think about all the times when Amaya is just sitting there just talking and so enthusiastic and high spirited, and Brian would just kind of be sitting there nodding his head. That's what it gives. Sagittarius is a fire sign. It's ruled by Jupiter. It's very optimistic and big. It's also the sister sign of Gemini, so it's very expressive and it doesn't mind saying exactly what's on its mind. Now, being in Mercury, it doesn't always express it the way that it needs to. Sometimes it could come off a bit aggressive. And that's how a few of the guys had described her interaction with them in the villa. It was just a lot for them. And having a matching moon and Mercury like that, when she's trying to express herself, it can sometimes come off as over the top. Now we'll dive into her moon in a minute, but first let's hop over to Brian's Mercury, which is in Capricorn. Now Capricorn's a little bit more chill. Capricorn is laid back, it's real grounded. It comes from the planet of Saturn. Saturn takes its time. I mean, time is literally represented by Saturn in astrology. So it takes its time. It doesn't express itself too quickly. It's going to think about things before it says anything. But when it does say something, it's going to mean something. Now, Capricorn is known for being the boss. So this placement can be a little bossy and very direct in what it feels. Fire and earth aren't really matching elements. However, Capricorn Mercuries typically have a lot of patience. So, with Amaya's Mercury being in Sag and maybe not always being able to express herself the way that she wants to express herself, Bryan may be able to have a lot of compassion and patience with her in this area. And I think we kind of seen that play out in the villa with how he stood up for her and how she expressed herself and how she handled herself with the other guys. He basically let them know, like, hey, this is how we do it in our culture, that she's not doing anything wrong by being who she is. And I really rocked with Bryan for that, because she needed that in that moment. Now, when we hop over to their sun signs, they have matching elements in their sun. I don't really feel like the sun sign plays a big role in relationships, but it still plays a part in the core personality and whether you'll get along. Water and earth happen to be matching elements, and Scorpio and Capricorn actually happen to be two good signs together. Scorpio suns are attracted to stability and power, and Capricorn suns can provide that. Capricorn suns are typically hardworking. Now, Scorpio suns tend to have trust issues, so Brian would really just have to prove himself. Capricorn suns are really stable, so I feel like that's something that he would be able to do if, in fact, he wanted to. Okay? Now, when we dive over to their moons, they both have matching moons in Sagittarius. This is beautiful right here because emotionally, that means they understand each other very much. And it really gave that on the show, honestly. And it kind of showed how they ended up together. With Sag moons, they are emotional freedom lovers. They enjoy the journey and they don't want a roadmap and you telling them how to get there. Now, with both of them having this placement, it could go really good or really bad. And when I say really bad, what I mean is Sag moons don't really have any emotional regulation. They don't really do any type of regulation, okay? And fire is all about action. So they do a lot of spontaneous shit, okay? Now, this won't go over well if spontaneous decisions are made and the other person isn't thought about before that decision was made. The potential in this placement, though, is it gives major ride or die energy. They both are incredibly optimistic, have a strong passion for adventure, and love deep emotional conversations and sharing a lot of laughs. We just kind of got to keep our eye on Brian, okay? I'm going to be real. Brian, it's you. I'm looking right at you. Moving on to the Venus. In Women, Venus talks about how we like to be loved. And Amaya's Venus is in Libra. which it's its home planet. She really understands how relationships work. Libra Venuses just get it, and they really love love. Having this placement just makes me feel like she really was there for the right thing, and she is extremely open to really finding true love. And that's a fact. Like, y'all don't even understand. Libra and Venus, they like had their wedding dress planned out like when they were a child. They were thinking and planning their wedding as a kid. They were watching all of the Disney movies and saying, that's going to be me. I'm going to have my Prince Charming just come and sweep me up off my feet. That's Libra and Venus. But this placement gives Amaya her flirty girl vibe. This is what gives her her charm and that overall admiration that she had for watching the other couples fall in love, even when her herself wasn't in a position of falling in love. It was really beautiful to see. Now, Venus for men talks about the type of women that he's actually attracted to, the type of women he likes to go after, which Brian's is in Sagittarius. And thinking about that, I was like, because on the show, when Brian and Amaya hooked up, it was at Amaya's most emotional time. I mean, granted, it had already calmed down. They had already found out she was America's favorite and everything. But still, when he first had the conversation with her, it was before they found out all of that. And seeing her in that state kind of piqued his interest. Now, typically with men with Sag and Venus, they do tend to like a woman with a lot of ass, okay? Amaya, she's not really packing back there, but she do the best she can. I instantly thought of Adriana when I seen that though. I was like, yeah, that's why he went for her first. I see it now. I see it. All in all, Brian is attracted to a free spirit, a fiery personality that's not afraid to express themselves, and someone who is optimistic. Sound like anybody you know? Definitely sounds like someone I know. And then when I looked at their Mars, I actually kind of got the feels, okay? Because Amaya's Mars is in Capricorn, which is Brian's sun sign. Mars for women talks about the type of men that she's attracted to. So she's attracted to the type of man that Brian is: stable, hardworking, someone who is patient and grounded. Those are the things that his sun sign and his Mercury sign display for her. And then when I look at Brian's Mars, I see Libra there. And that's literally Amaya's Venus. That definitely gives the type of woman that would give him everything that he would want. He wants that flirty, bubbly, charismatic vibe. It just gives romantic. The overall view of their chart, when it comes to mental compatibility, this is that workable energy that I was talking about. Amaya might need to tone down the spice for Brian at times just because she doesn't want to come off as being too much for him. And Brian needs to make sure that he is making himself heard because he does take his time to express himself and he spends a lot of time thinking in his head. He may not say what he's thinking all the time. And that can be troublesome for relationships at times. So this would have to be a placement where they would really have to just be willing to want to communicate with one another and meet each other halfway. Now, when it comes to emotional compatibility, they got this in the bag. They completely get each other when it comes to the emotions. And in a relationship, I have to say that is huge. The only problem that I could see with this placement is because of the placement that it actually is, which is Sagittarius, which I'm not hating on my Sag moons. Don't even do that. But if you know a little something about astrology, we know that that placement can be a little, it's kind of similar to an Aquarius moon. You know what I'm saying? It's a little aloof. They kind of do their own thing and they don't think about nobody else. And that could get dangerous in a relationship, right? But hopefully they are on the higher frequency of that moon sign and they're able to just enjoy the luxury of all of the optimism that that placement provides. And I literally just thought about the fact that Sag is, ruled by Jupiter and how it deals with expansion and bigger things. And both of them have a Sag moon, and their moons represent emotions, and they won on a love show together. Man, sometimes astrology really just be 1 + 1 = 2 for real. Now, when it comes to love vibes, when it comes to their Venuses, that's actually a very free flowing element with that fire and air. Sag in anything that deals with emotions actually kind of scare me a little bit whenever I see it in a chart. So it does worry me a little bit that Brian might be a little bit too spontaneous at times, okay? So we gotta kind of keep our eye on him. Outside of that, he could definitely provide her that adventure and that love story that she kind of craves. And when we get into their Mars and that sexual chemistry, with hers being in Capricorn and his being in Libra, yeah, it kind of gives that she about to rock his world. That's what it gives. And I think we seen that when they were in the hideaway and we seen Brian's toes curl up and start doing gang signs. Besides the little placements that kind of scare me a little bit in Brian's chart, their energy really gives power couple though. And whether they end up in an actual long term relationship or they just decide to be friends, they are definitely going to hold a strong bond and a strong love for each other that will definitely last a lifetime. Now, I told y'all with these two, I'm not doing whether or not they survived out the villa because we don't know if they are even still together. We don't know if their relationship is on dialysis or if it's still breathing or if it's on a breathing machine. We don't know, okay? So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rate the energy of their chart and their placements that I've talked about. And through that rating, I have given them a 7 out of 10 overall. I definitely think they have real compatible energy, but I've been using the word workable a lot describing their energy as well. There are placements that have harmonizing energy. However, just being all the way real, if they're not in their highest vibration within that energy, boy, that could be a mess to deal with. I ain't even gonna hold you. I wouldn't order it for myself. All I'm gonna say is they really have the potential to be magic if they allow themselves to be. But this definitely has to be something that both Amaya and Bryan want and work at. So I guess we'll just have to see what happens. Now, if you enjoyed this video, definitely go ahead and hit that like and subscribe to your girl. Now, I do have a video for Huda coming up, and it's going to be a little different too. Like, we're going to review a little bit of her connections that's in the villa, but we're more focused on her overall chart and the type of man that will work best for Huda. And this is after Huda has gotten the counseling that she needs and that she is in the best state of her energy that she can be in. I'm sorry I had to throw that in there, okay? It's true, though. It's true. I also have a video coming up for Janae after all of that stuff with Kenny. That was so heartbreaking. But yeah, I got a video coming up for her. We're going to take a look at her chart and see what would be the perfect man for her as well. So make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of this cosmic tea that I have to sip with you. And I'm out, Cosmic Cousins.